Here in Nuparu's workshop, it is time for our first episode where we highlight fan-submitted mocs. I sent out a call for fan submissions several weeks ago, and you guys really did not disappoint. I've gotten tons of emails with tons of really cool mocs, and we're going to showcase a few of them today. And while I'm certain to have to split this up into multiple episodes, and I continue to get submissions in, so we'll have several more of these coming out in the future. But let's jump into our first fan-submitted episode. And we have Milo, Toa of Air. In my notes, I did not write down who this was created by. I have it in my email, which I cannot access right now, but I will write it at the bottom of the screen. Right there. Boom. So here is the background bio provided for this character. Milo is a Toa of Air who excels in navigating difficult terrain and spotting potential threats before they have a chance to strike. She wields a climbing pick as her tool, made in such a way to be used either as a pick or a hatchet with its sharpened outer edge. Her mask is the Konohi Kakama, the mask of speed. Milo utilizes it well by leaping from tree to tree or outrunning any danger she encounters within the jungle. And this builder also submitted some of their own stats, which is fantastic. I love it so much. It makes me so happy to see this. So, beginning with strength. Strength is 3. Milo is not particularly strong, with most of her strength being built up from long days of climbing and hacking away foliage with her pick. So, strength below average. Speed. Milo is incredibly fast, able to outrun almost any Rahi she encounters or use her quick reflexes to pull off daring acrobatic feats. When in battle, she relies greatly on her speed to confuse or wear down her foes. Her speed is 8. Intelligence. Milo has an above-average intelligence due to her highly observant nature. When in extreme situations, Milo gains a boost to her intelligence. This allows her to think of incredible, albeit wildly unconventional plans to face whatever is threatening her team. Courage. Milo is more cowardly by nature, a fact that sometimes calls into question her abilities as a Toa. On her own, Milo almost never is willing to confront a threat, instead preferring to run away. When with her team, however, Milo is often forced out of her comfort zone and into the conflict of sacrificing her own safety or that of her friends. Skill. Milo's skill is below average, in no small part due to her pacifistic nature. What she lacks in combat skills, she's able to make up for through her experience gained navigating the dense jungles of her homeland. Endurance. Milo has an above-average endurance due to her highly active lifestyle. She's able to spend hours climbing or running before needing to rest. So that's strength 3, speed 8, intelligence 6 or 11, courage 3, skill 4, and endurance 6. I also like that the mask power works well with the character's backstory. I know it doesn't always have to, because the mask powers, for the most part, are just kind of random for the Toa. But when it has like an explicit connection to their function, then I think it's always nice. So I think a theme for this mod could just be updating a classic with that neck articulation, with the hips that are able to move, with the slightly adjusted color scheme, the black weapon, the black head, all that. I think it's a very, very nice update to the classic Toa build. So a very nice mock by this mystery person who I cannot remember now, but I will put your name, giant letters across the screen. We here have Catco, Toa of Air by Akiva. I'm going to read out the background information that was sent in the email alongside this Toa. This is my Toa of Air, Toa Catco. I wanted to find a word for cactus, and this works well enough. Backstory. So once a Lematoran, he lost his tribe and came across a Pomatoran village. Later becoming a Toa, he had adapted to the desert area, guarding a Pomatoran village centered around an oasis. He's talkative, likes to explain to Matoran about what sights he's seen around the islands he's visited. He has armor enhancements to help him glide on the desert wind, using his clawed arm to help him scale cliff sides, to jump off and glide long distances. His prime choice of weapons is using a type of explosive cactus seed he uses to drop bombs on his enemies or shoot with his launcher. His Konohi Mahiki allows him to cast illusions. He prefers to shoot and keep his distance when in a fight. The Matoran of his village believe whenever they see a sandstorm in the distance that is Catco battling the dangers of the wild to keep them safe. Great mock here, and it's really nice to see how the backstory and the design of the character are very cohesive and fit together strongly. Everything, all the gear on this Toa is clearly meant to fit in with his story. He has the wings for gliding. He has the Thornax launcher repurposed as a exploding cactus seed shooter, which is fantastic. I love that. The Thornax, the look of it is perfect for like a cactus seed. You know, it's fantastic. He's got the claw for climbing and everything. So the kind of the theme of my take on this mock is that the story and the design are working so strongly together. In terms of part usage, I like the wings, the Technic panels used for the wings, and then using the gears as sort of a propeller type piece there. I also like the way that the sort of holster is attached in the back, attached to a gear so that it also stabilizes the shoulders. But it's also at a nice angle where you can kind of pose it like it is, where he can just grab the seeds out of his little quiver, holster, whatever, and then load them up into his launcher. So I think that's a really nice design. I like it a lot. You also have a little bit of white here, a little spike, a little white spike. I love that, little kind of cactus homage. Great mock, love it. 10 out of 10, solid gold star. If you guys have anything you'd like to say about this mock, go ahead and mention that in the comments. And I'll move on to the next one. So here we've got something a little bit different. These are revamps of the Mata, Nuva, and Toa Metru by Charlie SP. So you can see, I think all of the Toa Mata were redone here, or revamped here, excuse me. Because you got Anua, he's kind of back in the corner. You can't see him very well. Unfortunately, the builder didn't have, wasn't able at the time to take individual pictures of each of them. So we just got these group shots here that we'll use. And so we're missing a few details, but that's fine. You know, sometimes you're not able to take pictures, or you don't have access to your collection at certain times, and that's totally okay. But yes, so we got Anua, Pohatu, Gali, Tahu, Kopaka, and Liwa. And each of them have been adjusted to varying degrees of difference. The easiest changes you can see are the change in the head color and the limb colors, as well as the shoulder and hip colors. There were also some adjustments to the chest armor, and in some cases to the feet. And the theme here I'm picking up on is making slight changes to really adjust the style of an existing character. I'm jealous of all those dark red Mata limbs that were used to revamp Tahu, and then also Tahu Nuva. Those dark red Toa Nuva legs, and what I'm assuming probably came from Vakama Hordika, those legs and arms. I like the use of the translucent elements for the shoulder and hip pieces on some of these. You can see the ones on Gali, which probably came from the Toa Nika. And then Tahu, he has the trans orange, or I guess trans bright neon orange maybe, that most likely came from Rakshi heads. Because there was a version of that color that came from Jalara Nika, but I think these, to my eye, look more like the Rakshi eye pieces. The ones on the Vakama revamp here, these look like they came from Jalara Nika. But we'll stick on this Vakama mock here for a second. Love the use of the color here, using the orange from the original Taraga Vakama, adding these orange weapon pieces, which work really well, I think, for a Toa of Fire. They look like they could shoot fire out of them. And they kind of fit with Vakama's backstory as a mask maker. Like, I feel like they have a similar sort of look to his mask making tool. But he and Nuju over here, they were both revamped as Toa Mata, which just in general I think is a great concept to do, trying to revamp any set of Toa as the style of a different year. I think it would be fantastic if you just had every single Toa designed in the same style, and you could sort of compare them and have like just consistency. For a long time I've had this idea of just going through and rebuilding every single Toa, but doing it in one consistent style. Because when I was a kid and I was playing with these, and it'd be like I'd have Tahu Mata, and then I'd have, like Jalur and Nika, for instance, since we've been talking about him. It's like I know these are both the same kind of hero, but Tahu is so small and puny. Jalur's got these big old arms and legs. He's got elbows and knees and so much motion. And these aren't the same. They're the same, but they're not the same. It was just too much for my little brain to handle. And I think that left in me a desire to have some kind of unified set of all the Toa existing at the same time. That's why I loved when we got the Toa Nuva and the Fantaka and Mystica. As divisive as those sets were, well, not even divisive, everybody just hated them. But it was nice to get our classic heroes in the modern building style. So yeah, I love seeing someone take the Toa Metru and redesign them as Toa in the Toa Mata style. It just makes my heart so happy. And by the way, Charlie, I love your collection here. Sabulo Toa of Sand by GamerGolden019. His name is Sabulo. He's a Toa of Sand. The Toa of Sand don't use technology like other Toa. They think it's dangerous, so they meditate to control souls. Meditation takes years of practice, which is why he has plants growing over him. Sabulo's personality is actually funny. He's a chill person, even when he's on duty. Great mock here, obviously not in the Mata style, but that's okay, I don't care. What we have here is a pretty classic G2 style mock, with lots of gold and silver and translucent colors to give it a very energetic yet classic knight sort of aesthetic. The cape, the shoulder guards, the sword, they all give this character a very knightly feel. You can see on the neck, you can see those plants that he was talking about. This character just meditated for so freaking long that the earth just started to envelop him. But I love that image. And I think this would be really cool if you had like a movie of this character and he was just meditating there. And it did like a time-lapse thing, like kind of, I don't know, the camera's like circling around him and he's meditating. And then over time you see the sun rising and falling and rising and falling. And you see this grass or these vines or whatever start to grow up over him. Maybe his armor even gets kind of rusty because he's got to be there for like months or even years at a time meditating to get this power over souls. To me, that's a very strong visual, and I love that. I love that small detail. I mean, it's not a small detail. He meditates for years. I guess that's kind of a big detail. Still, I love it. This character makes me also... It brings up for me some questions, or I don't know necessarily questions, but some thoughts I have about the Bionicle universe and the way that we, the fans, each experience it. Because when you hear other people's backstories, you realize certain rules that you have for your own backstory. The Bionicle universe as it exists inside your head. So here we have a couple things that, like, for example, wouldn't exist in my world, like the concept of souls, really. I don't think, in my concept of the Bionicle universe, that just doesn't exist. You have, life force. You have the kind of the inner consciousness of a Toa, but they wouldn't necessarily have a soul. And I noticed that in a lot of people's mocks, that their mocks have a much more kind of fantasy leaning than mine do. Where people have, souls and demons, and that's never really been something I gravitated toward. So it just doesn't come up in my mocks as much. But that's why I love mocks with backstory, because you can see how other people approach this universe and how they make it their own. In this case with, souls, meditation, a Toa of Sand, which wasn't necessarily a thing in the Bionicle universe. You'd have a Toa of Stone, not a Toa of Sand. But, who cares? Make whatever element you want. But I'm just kind of rambling here. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. The Great Mock, love the style, very classic. Love the cape. It gives him a knightly aesthetic, and it's just fantastic. Well done, GamerGolden019. Here we have Tovakuni, Toa of Water, by Garrett B. And here is the background that was provided by Garrett B. I noticed you didn't have a water Toa yet, so I went ahead and took the liberty. He's probably the oldest of the team in spirit, bearing the personality of a grizzled war veteran. I gave him a miscolored mask with the implication that the original mask was either destroyed or perhaps stolen, and perhaps he now wears one begrudgingly borrowed from Arkua. He's quite strong, with broad shoulders and thighs, and he's also quite tall for a Ga Toa. His Toa tools are twin boarding axes. He doesn't spend much time on the mainland and is much more of a sailor than a swimmer. He patrols the coast and waters, protecting the island from hostile seaborne Rahi or pirates. Garrett B., my friend, you take all the liberties you want. So this mock came before I had posted my Toa of Water, but there's no reason we can't have 2 Toa of Water on the team. I'm going to say officially, here and now, mark the day, this is canon. Tovakuni is the 7th Toa of my Toa team. He doesn't show up as often. You know, he's not always in the group chats, the group adventures. But there's a sub-island a little ways away, and he's the king of that island. Well, you know, not the king, the guardian of that island. But yeah, when the situation gets real, he's the 7th Toa of this team, of my team. So thank you, Garrett B. I appreciate your contribution. And I love this story. Oh my gosh, I love that he's got a mask that he borrowed from Arkua. And of course it's Arkua, you know, because he's the last person you would think would want to lend somebody a mask. But yeah, super cool. I also like the use of the blue pins here in the shoulders and the legs. The color just is really striking. And I whenever you use black limbs, it just looks so good with the Toa Mata build. Because of the high contrast that it has with all the primary colors. I guess except if you use a black torso. But even then it looks cool because it's just all black, and black is awesome. But other things about this mock, very classic. You know, it's got a very traditional classic design. And, you know, for my money, you don't always have to do something crazy with your mocks, you know? Some of the best builds are just the classic ones. Because that way you allow the character to be more important than whatever makes them different, if that makes any sense at all. Being creative doesn't necessarily mean being different. You know, you could have something that is, you know, fairly stock standard, but still just looks amazing. And then you have little details like the blue pins here, like those axe pieces, like the mask that's a different color because of this character's story, and that is fantastic. I really like this mock. I like the color combination. I like the story. Just everything here is really working for me. So again, Garrett B., thank you for this wonderful creation. And everyone, yes, this Toa is now canon in the Toa Factory universe. Up next, we have Fikoru by Jontael, or Jontael, if he has the Dutch pronunciation of J. So just looking at this character, I have some insta love for it because it's got the orange and black color scheme with some gray and silver thrown in there. So that automatically means that it is right up my alley. And then I read the short background that was provided, and I fell in love with this character even more. So the background. This is a Fiku that got fused together with a blank mata that Artaka created as a test. 100%. Perfect backstory. It's so simple, so concise. And then you look at this character and you're like, yes, that is exactly what it is. And it's beautiful. Taking the Fiku, just a simple little spider, using those parts, the orange claws, the orange mask, and then adding them to a Toa Mata and saying that it was a Fiku fused to a Toa. It's pure simplicity, pure genius. I absolutely love it. I also, side note here, I like seeing that Viking ship off in the corner there. I got that set and I really, really liked it. That's actually how I got the Tahu gift with purchase. Just a fun little tidbit about my personal life there for you. But yeah, looking more at this mock, it's, again, quite a simple one. It's got a fairly standard torso with the addition of the claws on the back. And then you've got Anua's chainsaw as a weapon. And, all that on a very standard Mata build, which it's just perfect. It's exactly what it needs to be. And that's really the best thing you can say about a mock. So, Jontael, thank you for this contribution. Keep up the good work, my friend. Something a little bit different here. I received fan art. What? I know, that is so cool. I've never thought that, I would make a character and then someone else would just, on their own, make that character. And it blows my mind, and it makes me so happy. So this is Kaliko, Toa of Air, as drawn by Wull Art. That is his Instagram handle, at Wull_art. So if you want to follow him, see some more of his stuff. I love his art style. It's fantastic. He does a lot of kind of line drawings like this. A lot of it's Transformers related, which is super cool. And there's just a lot of other cool stuff on his page. He also has a Bionicle mock account, Wull_mocs. There's some fantastic stuff on there as well that you guys ought to check out. We did a collaboration recently, doing some Voyanui Matoran kind of builds. And it was a lot of fun. He's a very pleasant person to work with. I love the mask. The modified Ruru meant to be more aerodynamic. I absolutely adore it. I think it looks so fantastic. It's still the lower half of the face, because you can still tell what mask it is with the forehead and then the lower mask. But then it's got the eye pieces kind of swooped out to make it more aerodynamic, and it's absolutely fantastic. So if there were ever a chance for this character to appear in animation, this is exactly what Calico would look like. And Wull has really nailed the Toa Mata style, capturing like the elements that let you know what it is. It's got the pistons in the side, the kind of ribbed midsection, the I don't know, the lower arms, how they have that kind of segmented look to them. But then you can also see kind of some sort of hints of like muscle on the biceps and the legs, and the textures really fit both the physical, like what a Toa Mata toy looks like, but then also some of the animation, like in Mask of Light, some of that kind of stuff. So there's a blending of styles here, but also very much done in Wull style, which is just absolutely fantastic. I also like the little tagline that was given, Calico the powerful but precise. I love that. I love that so much. That makes me very happy. And I just wanted to share this with you guys. Not a mock again, but still, I had to share it. Anything Bionicle, I love spreading it around, especially something that's done with this level of talent. I wish so much I could draw like this. I've tried, but I don't have nearly the talent that Wull demonstrates here. That is it for our first series of Bionicle submissions. There are a lot more in my inbox right now. It'll take some time to get everything posted. I'm sure I'll have a lot more of these fan-submitted episodes coming out in the future. Thanks to everyone who submitted a mock. It's always kind of scary sharing your stuff with other people. And I hope I treated your mocks with the respect that they deserve. And if you guys have any more submissions, you can keep on bringing them in. Keep on sending them in to newparosworkshop23@gmail.com. And I will keep these coming out in the future. That is all. Thanks for sticking around, and you have a wonderful day.